All right, you're live. Just give it a few minutes to everyone come in. All right, just gonna give it a few minutes for the stream to go live and have people join us as well.
Yeah, comment below how you're feeling today and what you're excited to hear about.
Let's go, Jonathan joining us already.
Our most keen member,
Yes. The OG underdog to winner.
The OG host.
Yeah, should be fun today. I'm very excited. Obviously, used Panasonic, products and seen them always around since I was a child, and it's been, it's always been a mystery around, what's the culture about, what are the people behind the scenes. So I'm very excited personally to hear from our great panelists today. What about you, Iris? What are you looking forward to from today's discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a product manager, so I'm really interested in hearing about Panasonic's product side and also just the company culture and internship overall. So yeah, really excited to hear from the great panelists we have here.
That's great. That's great. And yeah, if you're watching us right now live, I see that we have 4 people that have joined us so far. We'd love to know where you're joining us from. You can let us know in the chat. I'm from Victoria right now in Canada, and we'd love to know, where you're joining us from as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm from Waterloo in Canada as well. So let us know where you're coming from.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. And now we're going to move into introducing and bringing the panelists on board. All right, so very excited to introduce our panelists and sort of work with them, learn more about their story, what they do, and what advice they may have for others as well that are looking to, break into Panasonic, find the right opportunity for themselves as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get our panelists onto the stream. All right, here we go. Awesome. All right, here we go. Everyone's online, right? So we're so happy to have all of you. Michelle, Hank, Arun, Gayati. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's a Sunday. It goes to show how committed and dedicated you are to building those grounds and helping support people. To learn more about Panasonic and what you do. So thank you so much for joining us. And we'd like to start with Michelle. Michelle, obviously a great leader at Panasonic. So much of experience, so much of understanding of the culture and people, and is involved actively herself in the hiring process. So we'd love to learn from you, Michelle, starting off, about your story and where you come from and how Panasonic happened to you. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. So I think my story about where I came from before Panasonic might resonate with most people on this call. But before I turned 21, I was actually going to college at night because I still wanted to be able to work. And I had 3 jobs at the time, and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I started working for a startup company for Panasonic, and that company actually sold copiers that Panasonic made at the time. They don't make them anymore, but we did back in the day. So I realized actually quickly that my 2 loves in life were building relationships and making money. So I was doing both of those things. So fast forward 8 years later, I actually a job opened up at Panasonic, and having a network of people, I started out in an entry-level position to be able to get in the door, and have been in multiple different roles and multiple different areas and divisions of Panasonic since then, from territory account manager to distribution sales and multiple products too, from AV products to, like I said, the copiers, tough books. So yeah, I mean, I contribute probably, that career growth to being open to change and, being willing to step outside of my comfort zone every day. Actually, I try to, and, just taking risks. And I probably would say that the biggest key to my success is emotional intelligence. So I would recommend highly that, everybody has to be self-aware and, have empathy for others. And especially if you want to eventually get into a leadership role, that's been one of the keys to, success at Panasonic for sure. So it's not about you anymore when you become a leader. It's about your team. So yeah, that's my 20 plus years summed up.
Love that. Definitely. I think when you're the leader, I've recently read a book about like servant leadership, about how you are the one serving your people. So definitely agree with that. So, and next up, I want to introduce Hank. Something I really love about your experience is that you were in Panasonic and back in 2013, left for a few years, and then eventually came back. So in total, you've been in Panasonic for 7+ years. That's incredible. Wanted to hear about like what keeps you coming back to Panasonic, and how was your journey so far?
Sure. No, I started out in a career in sports management. I was in professional sports. I worked in the front office of the Cleveland Indians and the Cavaliers, then went on to represent athletes. And to your point, due to certain scenarios in life, I decided to have a career change and became an inside sales representative, originally with Panasonic as a contractor and the Tough Book division, which is our ruggedized laptops and hardware and peripheral devices, then transitioned into our audiovisual product segment, which included projectors and displays. And I worked really hard for 3 years. I was able to get that inside position due to networking. I'll kind of piggyback what Michelle said with emotional intelligence. Reference and expert power with emotional intelligence often fosters the best leadership styles for our future leaders. So with that, with the combination of emotional intelligence, hard work ethic, wanting to advance and excel within Panasonic, I was able to network and meet the appropriate leadership within our own organization, stay in contact with them. Unfortunately, to your point, when I left, there wasn't an opportunity for me to grow at that time. One of the big key attributes to my success, though, is I always stayed in touch with our leadership team. Even though I wasn't working with or for Panasonic, I always checked in. I always stayed in touch. I like to use the word professionally persistent, because I really wanted to come back and do a more kind of advanced role within Panasonic. And 5+ years ago, that opportunity happened as I became an outside sales representative, managing a territory for projector and display, and then becoming a senior territory account manager, and then eventually having a national role with our professional display division. But with all that said, it took a lot of hard work, a lot of persistence, the resiliency, and the long game, as I often refer to, of my personal and professional goals kind of helped streamline that. And the number one thing I'll say about Panasonic is it's a true opportunity for the leadership to invest in you, to grow within a long-lasting career. As I continue on, I aspire to bigger and better things. And I always tell the younger folks, don't look at the right now. You may not get the perfect position or promotion right now, but think of your long game and strategy on how you want to get there. And, through that work ethic and hard work and that networking and relationship building, somewhere along the way, someone will believe in you, give you that opportunity. Panasonic has done that in me, and I can't be more proud to be an ambassador of Panasonic, all of our team members, and of course, and how we contribute to society as well. So again, happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to sharing some further insights as we move along.
Thank you so much, Hank, for sharing. Love that. Love to hear more about your background. And I think networking is one of the common themes that's really stood out today, in terms of how important it is to have those relationships. And it's inspiring how you stayed in touch with, the company, followed their story even after you were not with them, because you loved and wanted to, persistence is a beautiful word. You showed that desire, and we appreciate you sharing your story with us. For all of those that are watching, have just joined us, definitely give us some hashtag Hank in the comments to show Hank some love for being with us here today. Moving to our next panelist now, Arun. Arun's fairly new to Panasonic, but still is coming with a lot of experience in his space. Kathy was mentioning he's such a great person to trouble with all of the troubling questions about tech and cloud and computing, because that's usually what a lot of people end up asking and wanting to learn about. So Arun, we're very excited to learn about your story. How come you chose Panasonic? It's not conventionally that tech option that most people do choose. So very curious to learn about your journey and how Panasonic happened to you. Yeah.
Sure. I have been working in the tech space for like 17 years and been with Panasonic for a little over 1 year now. Before coming here, I've worked with a few companies, global brands, mostly in the R&D space and sometimes in the internal IT software development space. I also did co-found a cloud software startup back in India, and I left it when I moved to the US. So when I was looking for a new opportunity last year, Panasonic, I really didn't know that Panasonic existed in this spaces that I had experience in, and the recruiter reached out to me and explained what are they looking for, and it really matched what I wanted to do with my career. Meaning, I am always looking for opportunities to learn and grow, and also apply some entrepreneurial spirit into whatever we do. So whatever the recruiter explained matched what I wanted to, and yeah, the position was exciting, so I moved there. And the last 1 year I've been with Panasonic, I should say I learned a lot, more than many years in other companies, and I also worked a lot, but it is exciting. When I started, the team was about 4 people. I took over a product. It's a global product. We have customers in Japan, China, Asia Pacific, Europe, across the world. But the team was like 5 people, but now the team has grown into 40 people. So you can imagine how much we have to grow as the team grows, right? But I also had an opportunity to work with about 10 interns over the spring and the summer semesters. We have a good internship program where we will get the students to work on real life projects, right? It's not something that we are doing for the sake of it, but they are really working on the actual products that are coming into the market soon. So they are not in the market though. So we have 2 types of projects that are R&D projects and also engineering projects. So R&D are the future, and engineering is what is there in the market or is coming to the market right now. So we usually put my projects, the interns who are working on the R&D future projects. So they also got to learn a lot and contribute to the product that is coming into the market. So it was challenging for them, but I think through the process they learned, and it was exciting as well. So I think the biggest thing about Panasonic that I found is you have a lot of learning opportunity given the company is so global. So you have customers around the world. You need to think about what are the customers' preferences in, say, China versus in Germany, right? So there is also the regulations that you need to think about. So your growth is, or your experience is much more varied and in a large scale. The other thing is everyone in the team is committed. They are super excited, and there is a lot of team spirit, and everyone pushes the other person to excel. And there is also a lot of support. You get to take a lot of risk, and failure is accepted. Meaning, if you take risk, you also fail, but it is part of the process. So I think that's the biggest takeaway with respect to culture. There is a lot of teamwork, there is speaking, and there is a lot of learning. Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, no, I just want to say I really like your journey from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur at Panasonic, and I'm a product manager intern myself. So I really feel like the project you mentioned about R&D and engineering are still so exciting for the aspiring PMs out there. And yeah, and moving on, I wanted to talk to also for the audience out there, please show us some love if you're loving the content you're hearing right now. And yeah, I really love what your guys' introductions are. So for next up, I want to go to Coyote. So you have spent such an interesting career journey over 13 years at Panasonic. I just like how you expand yourself horizontally, move from one role to another and explore different areas. So how has your journey from like product manager to program manager been like?
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my journey with Panasonic has been extremely customer focused and front facing. When I first joined Panasonic, I was just a recent MBA graduate. And what MBA taught me was those business skills that I was very excited to go apply in the outside world. And exactly that same opportunity I got, where you could take risk, you could talk to customers, you could understand their pain points, deliver a product. And those opportunities are not very easy to get when you're just graduating from MBA school and having that brand name Panasonic with you. So it was an exciting time and taught me a lot of things about how do you handle product implementation, how do you handle customer trainings, how do you interact with the customers' problems and issues and bring them back to the product team to help us grow. And then I moved on to several different roles within Panasonic to understand the entire software SDLC cycle, right? Very few companies would give you that breadth to move around because you kind of get siloed once you have a particular skill set. And Panasonic always has been open to us moving from role to role, expand our skill sets, learn some skill sets in the next role. And so that's what happened, where I moved on from front end customer facing roles to back end, understanding our products, understanding projects, doing multiple projects that have a strategy with a program in mind, revenue in mind. And then one product I worked on was the software within Panasonic portfolio, adding value to our customers, understanding their pain points from a product perspective. So it has given me a lot of breadth. And what I want to tell young entrepreneurs or even young graduates, MBA graduates, is don't silo yourself into a particular role. When you look at a big company, don't get intimidated. Take on the role that is offered and given, because that's your entry into the company. And then you can figure out how and where do you want to even grow, because that clarity you wouldn't even have in the beginning, and then navigate yourself within the company. So that's been my journey so far.
It's wonderful, Kelly. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that's very inspiring for a lot of the new grads and people looking at Panasonic to apply to Panasonic, to learn from your experience and how you've been able to grow so much, in your time at Panasonic, try different roles and sort of find your feet as well. So we really appreciate you sharing. We're also grateful for everyone watching with us live right now. Thank you so much for your comments. We're very excited to go to our next bit now. We're going to talk about something that's very real time for a lot of our viewers and our community members, which is how do you get into recruiting? How do you deal with that pressure? How do you identify the right opportunity? So we're very excited now to firstly start with Michelle and learn a little bit about hiring and recruiting, right? So with my conversations with panel members, I've been told that Michelle is the person to speak to when you want to learn about hiring and interning at Panasonic, because she hires herself. She works with the interns herself, like the other panelists, and she would be the best person to talk to if you want to know why and how to get into Panasonic. So we're very excited to hear from you, Michelle, and have your advice. Yeah.
Well, now these are just my opinions, right? This is just coming from me. Not speaking for everyone on this, but as far as recruitment, so you asked a couple of different things. As far as recruitment and getting in front of Panasonic recruitment and our talent management team, which is huge, as you can imagine, we have so many different divisions within Panasonic. So it is hard to navigate for everyone out there. So I would say the number one thing is, utilize your LinkedIn and try and get in touch with somebody that works at Panasonic already. Obviously, you have 4 of us now here, so you're already got a head start. But network with other Panasonic employees. If you don't know anybody at Panasonic, look at your contacts and see who they're connected with. Somebody might be connected with a Panasonic person, because what better way to be able to tell somebody about yourself than with somebody that already knows you, right? And then they can actually give a recommendation on your behalf. You can also join our talent community. That is in our Panasonic Careers website. And if you sign up for that, you don't have to constantly check the website. If you put in your interests and what you're looking for, they will contact you and email you when something becomes available. So that's really key to being able to be, a part of, to know what's going on with Panasonic. And then, like I said before, be visible on LinkedIn. Myself and a lot of the other recruiters, we look at LinkedIn on a daily basis. So and I'm not just saying just be on and sign up for a LinkedIn account, be active. We're looking at what you're looking at. We're looking at your interests. We're looking at who you're following. We're looking at, all of the above. So, be active, be visible. So that's key. Now the internship, I mean, if you can get an internship within Panasonic, I highly recommend that you do that. There has been a lot of interns that have, become Panasonic lifelong employees. And there's a lot of reasons why you should too. I mean, and the people that can be interns on this session right now is, undergraduates, masters, if you have your PhD, MBA level, as long as you're enrolled in a college or a university, you're able to be an intern at Panasonic. And we take all backgrounds and all degrees. So, all across the country, we have locations across the country. So you don't have to live in a specific area. Any roles too, like engineering, HR, sales, of course, product management, all of the above you can be able to get involved with. And, I recommend trying different things too. Maybe go with what you're interested in at first, but if something else is available and, you always thought maybe you wanted to try that, why not? Some people go into a role and, it's the best part being an intern because you can actually see if that's actually what you want to do. How do you really know going through college, what you actually want to do until you actually do it, right? So try different things. And, we provide at Panasonic coaching and mentoring and, all hands-on skills for any role that you're going to be applying to. So I would recommend, like I said, even reaching out to some of the interns that are at Panasonic now, or, that have been interns and now are employees. They have that on their LinkedIn website as well. So yeah, that's, it was just recruiting and internship. I mean, that's that's the main things that I would say that you guys would have to, do to be able to get into Panasonic.
For sure. I think being active on LinkedIn, both Alvin and I can attest to that. I can't remember how many times people reach out to me after I make a post or something resonated with them. And then it's just making connections and relationships. So yeah. And next up, I wanted to go to Hank and learn a bit more about the sales roles as the national team lead of Panasonic. I think even if for the audience, even if you're not going to be like a sales leader, that's not your dream. I think sales skills is so important for anyone. Like as a product manager, I think I need to improve my sales skills as well because I need to pitch ideas all the time. So yeah, Hank, tell us more about sales roles at Panasonic and how would you encourage people? Like what advice do you have for improving someone's sales skills?
Sure. So there is a big difference that I want to kind of point out when we discuss or talk about sales. Sometimes we just talk about products to consumers or products to business, meaning business to business. But at the end of the day, everybody who's participating on this call and who is actually viewing this session, you also need to sell yourself, right? You need to differentiate what makes you a better candidate for Panasonic or perhaps another organization. So what value can you bring to the company? How can you differentiate yourself from other candidates that's going to make a lasting impression? And remember, from a business perspective, really at the end of the day, nobody makes any money until somebody sells something, right? So the revenue, the profit driver, and the bottom line results ultimately come from sales positions. So the front-facing salesperson is extremely valuable to the overall organization, whether that's Panasonic or another entity. And, you know, there is a lot of risk, there's a lot of reward, there's a lot of failure. In order to be a good salesperson, you have to be able to identify and solve problems. It's not going in and trying to say how great and wonderful Panasonic products are. It's how can these Panasonic products solve a problem? For example, 25 plus years ago, the government actually approached Panasonic to build a ruggedized device or laptop that could withstand weather elements and conditions and be rugged enough to withstand you know, conditions in police, fire, and EMS, and even wartime situations. So the purpose of sales really is to identify those problems and be a consultative salesperson and actually identifies ways in which you can help. Sometimes in sales, it's not a transactional process. Oftentimes at Panasonic, it's not, meaning I'm not going to approach a person in higher education or enterprise or even government and say, hey, do you want a professional display? Here's how much it costs, and get an order. There's many dynamics around that. And the way that we add value to our customer base is solving those problems. And going back to our founder and our 7 principles, you know, really the underlying issue is the voice of the customer. And that's something that I try to emulate every day, is listening as a critical skill in sales of how can I identify a solution for this customer to not only solve a problem in the short term, but also develop long-term strategies, listen to them, identify new opportunities that I then can give over to product management and to our factory team to build new custom solutions that are specific to that customer. And when you do that, and you do it well over a period of time, ultimately it can be very financially rewarding and a very lucrative career as a professional salesperson.
For sure. It feels like sales a lot of time is like active listening and making sure that you're solving problems for the customers. Yeah.
Sure. Not to mention too, I will add, you have to believe in what you represent and what you sell. So the one thing that I would tell folks in the audience is one thing you can't coach oftentimes is passion, right? Your self-motivation and your passion to be successful. And that is a key attribute as a salesperson, because more times than not, you're going to hear the words no or not right now. So again, it goes back to that being professionally persistent and being there when there is a problem that needs to be solved. If you can make a dynamic impact from the beginning to the end, ultimately those opportunities may come back to you where you'll have that opportunity to solve those problems.
Thank you, Hank. We really appreciate you sharing your great insights. We have someone in the comments actually that's mentioning that they've seen that laptop, Harsher, and they say that that laptop is immortal, and the one that you built for the government. So we appreciate your sales-based insights. You know, it is so important to, like you said, right, be able to be a good listener. Because only if you're able to identify the needs, like it was beautiful when you spoke about collaboration, you know, taking that information not just for your sales team, but that's how you can continue to build great solutions. So very grateful, you know, for you to share your great advice with us. For all those that are joining us, you know, in the chat, definitely let us give us some hashtag Panasonic to show us our panelists some support for being with us here on a Sunday. Moving to our next panelist, Arun, you know, you did mention, you know, you're coming in with a lot of experience to Panasonic, but as a new hire, a lot of you know, new grads and all professionals always are very curious about what's the training program, right? Like how am I onboarded into Panasonic? So we'd love to learn from you a little bit about what your experience was and what Panasonic has in place to make that process smoother during these times. Yeah.
Sure. So as far as my training was involved, so it started with the Panasonic values and the culture itself. So that's the first training that you have to go through to bring you on board to the values and the culture. I believe that was really important to understand, and it also embeds in you those values, and whenever you are making some decisions, you use those values as your basis, right? So the biggest thing about the Panasonic values or mission is that contribution to the society and getting it to the progress. So whatever Hank said about the tough book, this is to help the law enforcement to do their work and make the society secure, and that is a big need for the society going forward. We are also working on green energy, like the batteries for storing the green energy. That is a future need as well. So whenever the company is making big decisions like that, they always base it on the values of the company or the purpose of the company. So understanding those purpose and values upfront is very important. After that, I think the training is more on the job. I myself don't learn much from attending classes or lectures. I prefer working on something and learning on hand. So it worked for me well as well, because there was little training as far as technical or management is. At my level, I was expected to have that kind of expertise when I was brought in. So but when I got the new hires, what the training was we brought them up to speed on the industry assets where we are working. For me, I'm working in the industrial automation, so the factories and how they work. So we brought them up to speed on what are the processes that goes in a factory, what are they trying to do, what is the problem that we are trying to solve with our product. And then we moved on to the product itself, and then trained them on the product, how it helps the users, and what we are trying to solve, and what are they going to do, right? So technical training came at the end. So we started with the industry, then to the user perspective, then what is the problem that we are trying to solve, and this is the technology that we are going to use to solve this problem, and this is how you will learn. And then we gave them material content to learn those technical skills, and then put them straight away into actual work. And they also learned on the job. Since the internship is usually a semester long, there is not much time to really go through a training and then do actual work. So you need to find a balance between doing on the job and also trying to learn on the side. And we also, when I hired the student, we were looking at really people who had shown some passion. Connecting back to what Hank said about passion, we look at people who already show passion and the attitude of learning, right? How we look at it is we look at the resume, but we also look at the GitHub accounts. If you work on some side project and have a GitHub account, it helps you stand apart, right? So those are the things. So when we get the people on board, we already make sure they have the attitude to learn what is needed on the job, and then get them productive as soon as possible. So that was the training and onboarding process.
Great.
And in addition, I also want to say that if you happen to be in my group, I would love to bring you on site we have a customer experience center where we have set up a mini factory kind of setup, where we bring them on site and show them this is the real situation in the factory, and get them some hands-on experience as well. But with COVID, it's been a challenge.
For sure. That sounds really exciting, though. Being able to go to the actual factory and see how things are made, and then that makes you understand the whole product line a lot better.
Yeah.
I love that you also mentioned like hands-on experience. Basically, for the students out there, having passion and knowing how to adapt to new environment quickly and learn fast on the job is really important. Yeah. And next up, I want to go on to Kadi and talk about role transitions. Since you have spent the past 13 years working on 5 different roles at Panasonic, I wanted to learn about how was the transition from each role, and why did you transition from, for example, product manager to program manager? What was the choice between each of the choices?
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I want to start first by saying that Panasonic offers a great mentorship program. Okay, I think everybody who is starting to join a company or is in the company for a few years, please reach out to your HR and ask what are the tools available for you to be successful in your company. Every company has certain things. Panasonic has a mentor program. The whole purpose of the program is to bring clarity and to bring some vision to your career, right? So that will help you to navigate what role would you like to do next. With that vision, you can work backwards to say what tools do you need for that role. How do you get those tools? Is that something you already have experience in? Should you do some online learning, online certifications to get some of those educational requirements? So that is number one way I would navigate, and I have done that in my past roles, is look around what other departments are there, what other roles are there, what interests you, where does your passion lie, what are your strengths, how can you apply your strengths in those roles, and then talk to your mentor. Number two is the Panasonic also offers something called buddy program. A buddy program is something that is for new hires and people who are joining as a and at any given level, but more like an entry level, right? Because it is basically designed to hold a new hire's hand for first 6 months. And that's a whole different mindset than a mentorship program. So in this buddy program, you are set up with somebody within the team, or it doesn't have to be within your department, but within your organizational business unit, where you will get assistance on a weekly basis that is designed to make you successful, right? So one thing we have seen is when people do get hired in a big organizations like Panasonic, you can really feel lost. You just feel like, who do I ask questions if I have logistics questions, if I have product questions, if I have navigation HR questions? So with this buddy program, you now have that one person to go to get that clarification. And then who knows, that relationship can grow further into mentorship. Maybe they can guide you on who your mentor even can be, or how you navigate to the next role, etc. So I would request everybody to ask that question first within your company and within Panasonic. And then number three is we have something called talent board, where we can actually work on projects outside of our work on something else that will open up our ideas and mindset, right? So example, if I'm in product management, but I can go to the talent board and I can see that Michelle is working on something called podcasts, and it's a marketing podcast. So, or Hank is working on a account that he's trying to do for a tough book. So I'm like, okay, what does it entail? Can I participate in Hank's project and learn something about sales and pitching something, an idea, and I can work with Michelle in collaboration with her project about marketing. So that's another good idea that Panasonic has implemented, is present on a board, like some kind of a collaborative space where other people in the company come to know what projects are being worked on, how you can work on those projects, how you can expand your skills, and that will give you clarity of what you want to pursue too.
It's wonderful, Gayati. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that was very insightful to learn about, these different options that Panasonic does have to help you with the transition, to help you with that investigation, right? Like you rightly said previously as well, when you get into the organization, you're always a learner. You're trying to find the right opportunity, the right role where you can add the best value. And that's great to learn about the mentorship program. Even Michelle mentioned the talent community that you have that supports you with finding the right role as well. Michelle, I did see that you did have a point to share, previously about the onboarding and the training. I'd love to bring it back to you if there's any point that you would like to share as well. Since you're actively involved in on getting in the interns that Panasonic is applying right now.
Oh, yeah. So, no, I was just going to add that when Iran was talking about the training program, that we have ongoing training as well, because, we have training. I mean, I've been here 18 years, and I'm still going through training programs. We offer management development programs to, path to excellence programs. So there's ongoing training above and beyond. There's a ton of free, you can go on and get certified in different areas of your business. And it's all offered to you for free within Panasonic once you're on board. So I just was going to add to that it doesn't stop at the onboarding.
That's amazing. To hear about the training is ongoing even after you've been with Panasonic for so many years is wonderful and shows a lot of merit to how learning based the values are at Panasonic. Moving to our next set of questions before we go to the open Q&A is about why Panasonic, right? And I know the why may have changed. It changes every day. It's changed over years. But we'd love to know what is that why for you. Starting off with Michelle, what's your why at Panasonic, and how do you keep it fresh? And we've been with them for so many years. Usually, people change organizations quite often, so it's quite inspiring, and we'd love to learn from you. What is your why?
Yeah, I bleed a little blue here since 21 years old. Yeah, so I really don't know anything else but Panasonic. So I'm a little bit, partial there. But yeah, people will always say, product, right? I mean, it has a great product. I heard somebody else on the chat say, "Oh, I've got a Panasonic TV," and that's awesome. I've had many Panasonic TVs. They have vacuum cleaners, rice cookers. They have everything, right? From besides just B2B on the business side. But, what drives me on a daily basis is, the culture, like I said before, being able to always wanting to improve, wanting to adapt to our environment, how our company gives back to society. There all goes back to our founder and, what he believed in. And, our company is over 100 years old. So it says a lot about the organization. But one of the main things that, I'm still with Panasonic and I'll say this from day one to now, is the people. And, Kathy had brought up, just obviously building out your ecosystem, making sure you have a buddy. I am all about the building out your ecosystem and networking within your organization, no matter what role you play, no matter what title you have. So, like people like Kathy and Hank and Iran, they're the people. Seeing them succeed and seeing them build their leadership skills is what drives me every day. Like I said before, it's not about me, it's about my team. So that's one of my biggest passions. And our management team and our leadership team at Panasonic, they support us to make decisions on a daily basis. They want us to have a voice. They want us to, step outside of our comfort zone, like I said before, and they want us to try. And, if we fail, they're okay with that because at least we tried and we did something. So that's what I think a lot of people would take or like about Panasonic, just like I do. So they're the key. They're the key things that why I'm still with Panasonic over all these years.
I love it. I think having especially that you've been here for so many years, you believe in the company's values and missions, and that really drives the forces to motivate you to get up every day. So yep. Yeah. Next, I wanted to ask the same question to Hank. What is the reason that you return back to Panasonic, and what do you love about it?
Well, first and foremost, it's what a company, what a brand, what a history of 100 years. But to piggyback off of Michelle, our founder wrote a book called People Before Products. And I truly believe that Panasonic develops people. And for me, that's a culture that I want to be a part of, that I embrace, that I'm passionate about. I want to be like Michelle in the next 10 years and look back and say, I've been with Panasonic for 18 years. Here's my evolution. Here's my continuous, effort for improvement to get better as a person, both personally and professionally, and hopefully aspire others to have those same goals. So for me, why Panasonic is really the opportunities that I have been fortunate to have, that now I can help others who want to be as successful. But to Michelle's point, the leadership team, the one teamwork mentality, I always refer to a 1 through 827 approach, meaning we all want each other to be successful as one team, as one organization, as really one purpose. And included in that is my own self-development. I was a lowly inside sales representative, not making a lot of money, working really hard, but I saw the long vision and collaborating with other leadership members of Panasonic and the opportunity where I could go. And through hard work, through perseverance, through the networking, through extended education, a lot of other variables, they've given me that opportunity to excel. And I know I may have that opportunity to continue to do that long term. And what a dramatic impact you can have to your organization, specifically your customers, as you build really strong relationship with your customers. And ultimately, they've given myself and my family a tremendous opportunity. And I'm really proud to, again, be a part of Panasonic. Hopefully, I can aspire to bigger and greater things long term. But what a fantastic organization to work with. And, the other thing from a culture perspective is that in Panasonic, in the traditional form, is that when you enter Panasonic, it historically was a lifelong journey and career, and you would not exit until upon retirement. And what a great opportunity to have in 2020, where you see, to the previous point of the moderator, is, so many people move around. They might be with one organization 3 years or 5 years. We truly have an opportunity to be here for, look at Michelle's been here most of her career. I think that's exciting. And not only just be in one role, but be in multiple roles and grow as a leader. So long-winded answer, but overarching, that's kind of my why.
It's powerful, Hank. Thank you so much for sharing. I could see the passion and the love for Panasonic really flowing through your response and even Michelle's response as well. Now moving to Arun, we'd also like to ask you your why, especially coming in with that level of experience. I'm sure you could have chosen multiple options as well at that point. But there must be a specific why. You did mention it previously as well, within the interview questions, you did find a match. But now being with Panasonic for over a year, we'd love to know what is that why for you?
I think the culture and the opportunity to grow. Both Michelle and Hank referred to that. In addition, I believe it's about the team and the team spirit, where the leadership puts a lot of trust in you and give you the space to experiment and also take risk and build a better product. And also your team supports you in getting there, right? So you need support from both sides. I believe that it is there a lot in Panasonic, and it helps you achieve your goals and also personally and professionally grow as well. And every time someone says that, hey, this product of Panasonic, I use this product, and it makes a difference in my life, or I use this product in my factory or business and it helps me save money or time, or makes me get me more productivity, it makes me proud, right? So you can hear that a lot going around whenever you're traveling. I was traveling in Uber, and the driver was in the law enforcement, and he was doing part-time. And he talked about how the Panasonic tough books and the body-worn cameras, etc., makes the life much easier for the law enforcement. It makes you proud and be connected to the society, and being able to contribute as a corporation or a brand. It makes a big difference in your self-worth and pride, etc. So that is another reason. And I want to add that when I told about training, I missed one part. I'm still enrolled in trainings. I'm in a program called LEAD, which is for leadership development for experienced professionals. It's a structured one-year program. Even with my experience, I am going through training. I missed that part there. So it is a one-year program for mid-level managers, and it's really good. So there are tons of opportunities to learn. I was just talking about the onboarding training, but there is an ongoing training all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love how much support Panasonic is giving the employees from the entry level, mid and management up to the leadership. So that's amazing. And next up to Coyote, what kind of things that makes you keep you at Panasonic for the past 13 years?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I want to mention 3 key points, right? Number one is when people are looking from outside perspective, you kind of like, you make a connection with Panasonic brand, right? Like everybody said, we have seen Panasonic products for most of our lives around us, and they stand for sturdiness. Those products, they basically help you solve your problems. So the brand and identity of Panasonic is better life, right? Better life. And that automatically brings you that, okay, I'm working for a company that is for betterment of humanity. That's number one. Number two is, if you look at Panasonic, it's a humongous mammoth company, right? So if you're an outsider or if you're within Panasonic, you're never going to run out of ideas or business units or divisions to go to, right? Panasonic is everywhere, not only North America, but even globally. So you have that capabilities to network, work on projects, whatever you're passionate about, be it chemical engineering, we are in electric batteries, right? Be it industrial engineering, we are in the field like Arun mentioned, be it healthcare, we are in that field. So, I want to tell everybody that when you are looking at opportunities, don't silo yourself just based on your career. Companies have a lot of different verticals they are present in, including food and retail, etc. So that's number two, that Panasonic has a presence everywhere. And the last thing, number 3, is innovation, right? I mean, think about it, like every few years, technology changes, and Panasonic is right there in the forefront. Like who is working on the forefront of electric batteries or robotics or industrial revolution with smart factory or like tough work also. Like, so our solutions are cutting edge, innovative, and very much in the forefront of technology, be it cloud or be it, chemical engineering. So with that, like, I just feel like we have a lot to grow, lot to learn, lot to explore, and you're never going to be running out of ideas or projects or verticals to participate and learn. So that's what keeps me here. Like today I'm in this particular part of Panasonic, but who knows where life will take us, and we can travel the country, the world, and represent Panasonic in different silos and verticals.
Wonderful, Gayati. Thank you so much for sharing. When you just start speaking of it, we tend to realize how large the organization is and how deep the opportunity is, even beyond our understanding, right? In terms of how that can be a great start to something that could be a great lifelong story, like Hank mentioned as well. So thank you so much for sharing, Kayati. We're going to break into some Q&A from those who are watching right now. To just start off with, again, we'd invite any panelists that would like to give us an answer for the question to sort of go ahead with the question. So just giving it a second here. If you do have any questions for those watching, you can use #question and you can share your question with us. Just going to look for one here. Okay, one that I have here is a question by Jasmine. It's what advice would you give to those that are trying to change their career, right? Maybe they're going from marketing to finance, maybe they're going from finance to sales. Is there any advice that you would have for them? Have any of you made that switch? Like, were you in a different stream before you went to the position you're in? So would love to hear from any of the panelists if you did have any advice for Jasmine at all. Yeah.
I'll chime in. I've as mentioned, I was in the professional sports industry for 10 plus years, and then all of a sudden transitioned into an opportunity in technology. And quite frankly, you don't know until you try, right? So, this life gives us tremendous opportunity to go after things that we want to pursue. Even long term, I want to pursue a law degree and maybe may transition into legal counsel at Panasonic as I prepare for my LSAT here next month. So, at the end of the day, you don't know until you try, right? So you have to have that ambition. You have to be able to take those risks. One example that I'll give is I actually was a play-by-play broadcaster and a guest announcer for the 2003 USA National Olympic baseball team with no broadcast or journalism experience whatsoever. And I was actually encouraged by a good friend of mine who happened to be a pitcher on the team. He said, you should just try out. What do you have to lose? And oftentimes, what I say succinctly is give it a try. It never hurts to try. Never not believe in yourself, and always exude confidence that if you try to make those transitions, it might just be worth that chance and that risk. And you just don't know until you try. The same goes with Michelle's point of interning. You may get into an internship position and really discover that you don't like that role. You don't, maybe you're not a good fit for that company. And the only way you can do that is through discovery and through those opportunities. And I would say that if it's something you're passionate about or want to at least try, it never hurts to take that risk and give things a shot.
That is lovely. I think, thank you so much for sharing, and congrats on your law degree. That's soon to be. That is really incredible. Yeah.
Well, not a law degree. I'm just trying to get into school. I take my law school admission test next month. So wish me luck.
Amazing. For sure. Yeah. Good luck. And I also see someone asking, I see two people asking here about like from an international professional perspective, does Panasonic offer a visa sponsorship if they get an intern opportunity?
I would have to double check on that. I don't know if anyone else on the panel knows that, but I know they support, internationally,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would have to double check.
I do have colleagues who are international, and so for certain positions, Panasonic will offer sponsorship. Yes.
It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. See, there will definitely be resources that maybe our panelists can guide us to, that we can share after the session, that maybe has more information on this. But it's great to know that Panasonic does support global citizens that want to work and find their next opportunity. Just going through the questions here, I do see one here by Gandhi. His question here is, what are some of the skills, qualities that Panasonic looks for in a new hire? Is there any sort of prep work that someone can do to sort of impress? I'd open this up again to all the panelists. Any sort of tips that you can give those that are looking for applying?
I can talk a little bit just on the resume / interview process, if that would help. On the resume side, that's the key to getting in the door, right? If you don't know anybody, so you do have to stand out there, because recruitment is looking at hundreds of resumes, maybe a day or a week. So I would, my recommendations there would be to highlight the key areas that you want the person to see, that apply to that job. So a lot of people will regurgitate a resume and use it for multiple jobs, and I highly recommend not doing that. I recommend a cover page that talks about why you would be a good fit for that role. I recommend putting the relevant experience at the top, because sometimes they might not get through all of the resume, right, if it's really long. So put the relevant experience, not necessarily your current job, but your relevant experience for the role. Put that at the top. And then on the interview part, this is just what I look for. So this is just, coming from me, but I want to know about you. I want to know about, ways that, you work, in either what you're doing in college or what you're doing as far as your career now. How do you collaborate with other team members? What's your work ethic? Do you take initiatives? Do you take risks? I want to hear about all those different things. And, the biggest thing I would say that you got to take away from this is, do your research on the company that you're applying to. So if it is Panasonic, I would hope that, if you do want to be a lifelong employee of Panasonic, do research on them, and, what makes us tick, what are some of the things? Maybe have a business plan when you come to the interview that says, hey, this is how I'm going to be able to, do the job, even if it might not be exactly what you know of as all the role, but just put something together to show that you took the time out to say, this is why I want to work for Panasonic. Trust me, it'll go a long way. And the last thing I'll say is, you can talk about, a lot of people talk about their strengths. That's fine. Pick one strength and talk about it. Be brief, be brilliant, and, maybe just, be humble. Don't make me, just be humble about it. But if you talk about your weakness that's what I look for, because I want to see how you are actually how you're working on your weakness, how you're overcoming it, right? So that's actually more important to me than, because everyone has one. So, make sure you bring up a weakness and how you're overcoming it. And that's my advice.
That is amazing. I think being real during the interview is definitely very hard, but it's also what makes you human. So having that kind of like authentic taste and communication styles is really important for everyone that's out there.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle. We're going to do one last question before we wrap up. This question is by Veronica. Her question is to all the panelists. Do you have a favorite training program that helped you the most in your time at Panasonic? So, Michelle did mention she's been doing them for so many years. We'd love to learn from our panelists. If there's anyone in specific that's gone a huge, made a huge difference for you in your work and your love for Panasonic.
I mean, definitely, I would say for me, it's a mentorship program. And Arun can mention too if he has any particular one. But what I want to tell everybody is that, remember, mentorship program is offered in every company, including Panasonic, but it brings everything together. It's that cohesive program. Because, as I mentioned before, it brings vision. What do you want to do in your career? It brings you guidance. How do you navigate to that vision? Because that mentor has that experience, right? Example, if I want to get into marketing or I want to get into sales and Michelle is a director of sales, I can reach out to her and then she can help me to go from level A to level B. What tools do I need? What is my vision? Number 3 is what programs are offered within Panasonic that will help me to get there, right? So we have tuition reimbursement program, online learning program. You can take N number of certifications through Panasonic University, right? That includes AWS, that includes management learning, conflict learning. I mean, you can take like 2 courses per week if you have time and do that for the rest of your year and get 52 times 2 certificates. So there is a lot of opportunities to learn, but the problem is that lots of people don't have the clarity, the vision. And that's what this program, I love the mentorship program, because the more I talk to people like Hank and Michelle, other people, like, what do you do? What do I do? And do I like what you do? Do I want to pursue what you do? And that's what will keep you connected with the company and connected with the people. So I will give Arun a chance if he has any program.
No, what you said is what I also follow. There are tons of opportunities to learn online, meaning through the Panasonic network and also through other events that the company does about leadership, about technology, etc. Make use of it and be self-driven or self-motivated in addition to making use of mentorship or anything, because you need to have a vision of yourself as well, right? And 5 years from now, where do you want to be? 10 years from now, where do I want to be? So there are a lot of opportunities to learn and grow, but you also need to take the initiative for that.
I would just add that I had an opportunity to be included in a year-long program that really taught me more about who I am as a potential leader, and obviously working with my own team and executive leadership. And we talk a lot at Panasonic about developing core competencies to maybe be considered for that next move or transition. And it really also taught me to lead with humility, which is one of our 7 principles, right? To get better at emotional intelligence, to get better as a team member and contributor, and also taught me to present into a executive format, and just made me a better learner. And I think it goes back to being that continuous effort for improvement. To Kathy's point, it's that continual learning process, the ability to be coachable, and the desire to learn more, I think is probably some of the best advice I can give for training. Obviously, there are many books on how to apply for jobs or how to be considered, or maybe some advice. But the biggest thing is be true to yourself, know what your capabilities are, piggybacking off Michelle, know what your weaknesses are and how you can get better to overcome those will ultimately make you a better candidate, whether it's at Panasonic perhaps any other organization out there. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today and spending your Sunday with us. And I have learned so much from all of you guys, and I really appreciate all of your time and great advice. I'm sure our audience have gained a ton of value as well. So thank you again. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead.
At the moment, I am looking for a few interns, specifically from University of Illinois at the moment, but maybe in the future from other places as well. But computer science graduates or postgraduate students who are interested in machine learning, data science, they can always reach out to me. I'm actively looking for students there.
That's great.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Arun, for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today as well. I know it's a Sunday, and a lot of those that will also be watching, the recording of the session are very grateful for your time and all your wonderful advice. I'll leave it to Iris as well. Usually, we do ask for reflection, so I'll let Iris sort of ask for that. But we'd love to know what you've learned, right? And Iris, maybe you can tell us how people can tell us how they've learned. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So for everyone that's listening right now, we really wanted to hear about what is your takeaway and what have you learned from this wonderful session. So please make sure to make a LinkedIn post about what you learned about from each one of these panelists and tag all of us. Use hashtag Wonsulting, hashtag Panasonic, so that we can find your post. And if our panelists like your post, then you might be even able to get like a short coffee chat with them if they're available. So yeah, just make sure to make that post and share your learning with us.
Yeah, we're very excited to look at all of the reflections. I've learned so much just myself asking these questions and learning of all of your experience. I feel really passionate too about using Panasonic products and knowing about the wonderful culture that you have. And I'm very excited to read these reflections. And so do make sure to even connect with all of the panelists. You'll find the links in the description below. Make sure to send a personalized invite as well, telling them how you met them, what you listened to, and what you really loved. And yeah, thank you once again to all our panelists as we wrap up. Any final words that you may have, we let you say that as well. But outside that, Wonsulting is very appreciative. We know that this is a busy time and this is your time off from your busy week. So we're very appreciative of you taking the time out to speak to young leaders, speak to potential candidates and potential future employees of Panasonic, and sort of share a bit about your life and your journey. All right.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us here, Alvin and Iris. Thank you so much for being, giving us this great platform to represent Panasonic. What I would just leave with one sentence is what Michelle told me when I first met her and I talked to her, is that remember, no matter where you are in life, your job is to shine light on other people. So you could be an intern, you could be looking for a job, you could be just starting into a company, but there is somebody out there within the company or outside that you can help. So always be that light shining upon other people, and automatically you will shine. So that's my motto.
Wow, that's so inspiring. I'm so grateful to have all of you here with us. And thank you. Enjoy your lovely Sunday. And we'll also advise all of the viewers. Yeah, we'd love to see your reflections, your posts. Do tag all of us so that we can read and learn how you enjoyed the session, what you learned. If you do have any follow-up questions, maybe you can use your posts as well to sort of engage our panelists, maybe ask them these questions as well if you couldn't get to your question, or if you're watching this after the recording. And we hope that you follow us on you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch more of our content. You can even like and follow us on LinkedIn as well, where we do our live events. We have a speaker series coming up in the coming week with, again, wonderful panelists. So do stay tuned for more. And thank you once again, panelists. And we are going to shut the session. And we look forward to staying connected and doing future events as well with Panasonic and learning more about you and your opportunities. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a great Sunday.